Today, the Federal Reserve announced that they would keep the overnight interest rates at 2%. Once again, they conform to what they usually do, and that is fix prices. They're fixing the rate of interest. It has nothing to do with capitalism or free markets. It's something that has to be addressed someday because there's no legal authority for a secretive body like the Federal Reserve to fix interest rates. Immediately after the Fed makes an announcement like this, the anticipation is started once again. What are they going to do in 6 weeks? What is the Fed going to do? It has very little to do with the market. It always has to do with what the Federal Reserve is going to do. But they're between the rock and the hard place. At 2%, this is easy money. This is inflationary. They're creating new money to keep these interest rates artificially low. But the important thing is they don't know what the interest rates are. You know, they talk about speculators. People are condemning speculators causing the price of energy to be at a certain level. But the real speculators and the ones who are manipulating markets is the Federal Reserve because they have the power and the authority to fix rates. The market pricing of energy and these other items is very necessary and very important. It's completely different than allowing the Federal Reserve to set these interest rates. But the Fed is in a real bind because if they raise interest rates right now and say there's too much inflation, the economy slows up. If they lower the interest rate, it weakens the dollar and accelerates the inflation. 2% is where they are right now, and the story is they'll wait till after the election, they'll play the political game, and after the election, they'll raise the rates and bring on the suffering and the recession necessary to correct all the mistakes made by previous Federal Reserve activities. But they're claiming still that there's not too much inflation. They're a little bit worried about it. But, 2 or 3% by the CPI is not all that bad, they claim. But the truth is, if you measure the CPI the old way, the way the Federal Reserve used to measure it, we find out that inflation is 11 or 12%. So the people know this. The cost of living is going up rapidly, and it's very hard for them to compensate. But what they fail to talk about constantly, whether it has to do with the Federal Reserve or all the business stations around, they don't talk about the money supply. What's the money supply doing? Well, if you look at the official statistic, not too bad. It's not growing rapidly. But the figure that they ought to look at, they don't report, and that is M3, the total money supply. That rate is going up at the rate of 16%, as well as the MZM, money zero maturity. It's going up at a 16% rate. And there's massive inflation, massive devaluation of our dollar. If you look at what happened in the last 3 years, the Federal Reserve, through this system of creating easy money plus fractional reserve banking, they have created $4 trillion of new money. And once that money starts circulating, the people suffer because the prices go up. And there's no way you can measure which prices go up or when. But right now, there's catch-up. There's catch-up for all the inflation of the monetary supply over the last decade or two. And that is why you're seeing these prices going up, whether it's food or energy or medical care costs or education costs. And what do some of them want to do? They want to penalize the businessman for causing prices to go up. But they don't want to talk about the real cause of inflation. If you're worried about $4 a gallon gasoline, you better worry about an $8 a gallon gasoline because they're still inflating. One of the reasons why they have to inflate is because we have an irresponsible Congress that won't cut any spending. We had a supplemental bill that went through here, and we increased domestic spending as well as military spending with money when we don't even have it. We sent out checks just recently to help the economy. We don't have that money. We can't borrow it because the foreigners are less likely to loan to us these days. So what do? We send the Treasury bills and the bonds over to the Fed, and the Fed creates money out of thin air, and then we wonder why our prices are going up. So we live in an age that is very dangerous, and it's coming to an end, and we have to understand monetary policy. And we can't accept the idea and the notion that a secretive Federal Reserve system knows what the proper interest rates ought to be. So this is just another step continuously, and the people in the Congress never challenging the monetary system that we have. The sooner we challenge the system and realize why gasoline prices go up, the better off we'll be.